Hello everybody, welcome to today's video, and today we're going to be talking about the timpani. Okay, it's going to be another short video because I don't have that much to say about the timpani. But yes, it's the first dive into the first and only for this section, dive into the percussion section. So far we've talked about the brass section, we've talked about the woodwind section, we talked about the string section, we've not got to the percussion yet. And if you want to know more about the percussion section in general, I encourage you to go watch my Anatomy of a Symphony Orchestra video. But regardless, let's get into the timpani. So the timpani is a percussion instrument. That means you create sound by hitting it in some form or the other, striking it. And there's a couple of other things that classify a percussion instrument, but yeah, by striking it, you're creating sound. That's a percussion instrument. Couple of other things also define it as I said, but yeah. And this is an example of a pitched percussion instrument. That means that it can have variable pitch. So, for example, if I take a snare drum or just any drum on a drum kit or regular drum, right? I hit it, it's got one pitch, right? It's got only one pitch. I hit it again, it's going to be the same pitch. I can't change the pitch without tuning the drum differently, whatever. So it's static pitch, unchanged pitch. So it's called an unpitched percussion instrument, where the pitch doesn't change, right? This is a pitched percussion instrument. That means that the pitch can change, and you can, so the timpani can have a high, low, whatever. You can have actually a bunch of different pitches on the timpani. But I get ahead of myself here. First, let's talk about the anatomy. And now, inside the timpani, there's a very complex system to make that whole pitch changing thing happen, which I am not going to get into. I didn't understand it myself, but I'm going to give you the basic overview of the anatomy. So as you can see over here, you have the drum skin. So timpani is usually a bunch of different drums, right? It's a timpani is technically only one of these, but it's usually a collection of drums which are tuned at different pitches to make it easier for you to play all the different pitches you need, right? It's usually in a bunch of drums. This will either be 4 drums, this will either be, sometimes you can manage with 2, it's either, maybe it's 4, maybe it's 3, maybe it's like this is 5, it depends, okay? Alright, now, as I said, you have the drum skin, that's where you're actually striking, then it resonates inside this chamber, that sound, and you get the proper sound, great. Then you have the protective rim around that. You have, well, this is timpani come with wheels, so wheels I suppose. But now here's the important thing, you have pedals, and each one of these. And these pedals are what allow you to change the pitch. So if by pressing these pedals in a certain fashion, you can change the pitch, make it higher and or lower, the pitch of the drum to me. And then over here we have the mallets used for a timpani. So there are different mallets for different tones if you want. So sometimes you have a hard mallet, sometimes you have a felt mallet. There are all the different types of mallets. The sticks you use to hit it essentially. These are all the different types of mallets. And if there's any timpanist watching this, I'm probably butchering the way I'm describing it, but then I'm not in the depth with the timpani myself. Okay, that's the basic anatomy out of the way. There is a complex system for how you can change the pitch by pressing the pedal, which I said I will not get into because I don't understand it myself. But now let's move on to how it creates the sound. Now once again, what's happening is when I'm striking the timpani, I'm striking the drum skin. Now it's the skin. I'm sure you must have seen a drum skin like in a drum kit in the school or whatever, and it's stretched quite tightly across the drum rim. Now when I hit it, that vibrates. The drum skin vibrates up and down. Now vibration resonates here and also creates its own thing outwards, but mainly resonates here. And what that does is it makes that one hitting sound a lot more dark. And it does so. It has a much greater sound, and it has the timpani has a very distinctive tone. So it's like bong bong. It's very difficult to, of course, I can't sing it out. Very difficult to describe. It's more like it's soft. It's very soft here. It's soft. It's slightly mellow, but yet it's percussive and loud. Soft and mellow, yet percussive and loud. That's how I describe it. So it's best to hear a timpani and come to your own conclusions about how you would describe the tone of a timpani yourself. So you just hit it and the skin vibrates, and that's what's creating the sound. There's not too much to that section either. Then whilst talking about perhaps the timpani's position in the orchestra, so once again, it in the orchestra, it's the leader of the percussion section. So whatever percussion section you've got in the orchestra, the timpani is the leader. And you know what? In fact, in most orchestras, the timpani is the only percussion instrument. The only percussion instrument. In the classical romantic period, the Baroque period, forget about the Baroque period, in the classical romantic period, all the orchestral music that was written, the only percussion instrument that was present was our friend the timpani. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. Right? For most of the romantic and classical periods. So that means that the timpani is very important, as it serves as one of the only percussion instruments in the entire orchestra. And when you take a very modern composer who used a bunch of different percussion instruments, maybe like I don't know, the Respighi or the Respighi or something, then the timpani is leading the percussion section. So in older music, it's the percussion section, it's all that there is. And in new music, it's leading that very same percussion section. It's the head of it. It's also called the kettle drums, by the way, in case you're wondering. In case you know the alternate name, it's also called the kettle drums. So as I was saying, that's got a very distinctive tone, and its purpose in the orchestra is to support rhythm, pitch and melody. So it supports that, it gives its own rhythm. It's very good at giving the time, keeping the time, but timpani usually is there to give rhythmic support. A timpani, you're not playing any melody or it. You can change the pitch, but it's not to play a melody. So the timpani is usually there for rhythmic support. That means, the rhythm to support the rhythm. And the fact that you can change the pitch is not usually to play, it's not usually to play melodies. It's not meant to play melodies. No, you don't find many people playing melody on timpani. I don't think anyone's written a melody for timpani. But no, it makes you get a lot more. It allows you to be a lot more creative with the rhythm. For example, if I want a rhythm going dung 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 in the background, right? Dung 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 dung. I can do that with the timpani because now I can change the pitch. So one is slightly higher, dung, one is slightly lower, dung. So dung 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 dung. I can do that with the timpani because it has a variable pitch. Because I can change the pitch, and that's why changing the pitch is useful. So once again, it's not to play a tune or have all the different notes. No, it's to further its capability as a rhythmic support for the orchestra. So once again, the dung dung dung, or whatever example you want, where the pitch is also thing which is supporting the rhythmic supportation. That's why you have the ability. That's where the ability to change the pitch of the timpani is quite useful. Okay, and if you're curious, this is what a timpanist looks like while playing. This guy's using this kind of mallets. He has a sheet music in front of him, and in this case, he's using three timpanis, three drums, and he plays on them. That's about it. So he's sitting here and he's hitting. One person is hitting all the instruments, like all the drums like this. I think it's quite apparent from the photo. Yeah. And that being said, I don't even think I need to go into this. We may be able to find something obscure, but there's essentially no ensemble and or solo repertoire for the timpani. There's no ensemble or solo repertoire for the timpani. You might find something obscure, but in general, there's basically no ensemble and solo repertoire. It only has a role in the orchestra, but it has a very important role in the orchestra because it's the only percussion instrument, usually. And even when it's not, it is the leader of the percussion instrument. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, that's all I really had to say about the timpani. Another thing to keep in mind is that I'm going to briefly mention another percussion instrument here, the triangle. I don't have a picture, but it's just, I'm sure you must have all seen it. It has a rubber holster here, and it is a metal cylinder bent in the shape of a triangle, moves like this, and they connect there, and you have a small metal stick, and you hit it, and it vibrates ting. So ting or ding, that's the vibrating sound. There's no variable pitch or anything, and it is there in the orchestra every now and then. Like once again, in old orchestras you bet not, like Mozart and Beethoven, there's no triangle. But in new orchestras there's a couple of probably triangle players there. And yeah, once again it's an unpitched percussion instrument because you can't change the pitch. You have no capability of changing the pitch, at least to my knowledge. And even if you do have very minute capability, so it's essentially an unpitched percussion instrument. That being said, that's all I really had to say about the timpani and not triangle, I suppose. Hope you found this video useful. Hopefully you walked away learning something from it which you didn't know before, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you want some demonstrations of how the timpani works and everything, be sure to check out the Philharmonia Orchestra or the All-Star Orchestra. Just search up those with timpani in the word, and you'll find tutorials with actual timpanists who've been playing for years, demonstrating to you how it works. And it's probably better than my very, very brief understanding, very small understanding of the timpani. That being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something from it. Hopefully you walked away learning something you didn't know before. And that being said, this is me wishing you a very happy rest of the day, very wonderful rest of the day. See you in the next lesson.